All right, everybody, welcome in. This is your Fielder's Choice, YFC. We're here talking some PGA DFS Genesis Invitational. I'm with my guy Josh, YFC Sports JSAL 10. I am Adam Villarreal at YFC Sports V12. Guys, like I said, we're very excited to be able to bring you a little bit of a midday golf coverage. Josh is going to be covering all of our PGA and I'm pretty sure anything that is going to be golf centered content from here on out. So Josh, welcome in. How are you doing today, bud?
Good. Doing well. Coming off the high from the Waste Management Phoenix Open and the Super Bowl. So
that was pretty cool, man. I saw you out there with your mullet and your G-string, and you were humping the flag. That was interesting.
Oh man, that tournament was crazy. It always is, but it's fun.
It was really cool, yeah. So, guys, like I said, we're going to bring this just a quick little coverage. We're going to be covering PGA golf from the DFS standpoint, mainly focused in on DraftKings. Obviously, just a quick plug, yourfielderschoice.com. Be sure to check us out right now. We do have our promo for our sports. You're going to get it all DFS, all premium, all the content you can ask for, all the articles, premium access to our Discord, which we'll make sure to drop in the comments as well. And you'll have all that available to you. If you're watching this on any of our streaming apps, YouTube or Twitch, be sure to hit the like and subscribe, the thumbs up as well. And whenever you get those notifications when you subscribe, anytime we do drop any of this video content, it will be available for you. So Josh is going to be covering some, picks, some value picks as well, and a little bit of a course overview. So Josh, I'm ready for you, man. So just go ahead and start running with it, and let's get going, brother.
Yeah. So shifting over to the Genesis Invitational this week, they're just going right over to California from the Phoenix Open, and we saw that elevated event last week, and this is another one. The purse is typically 12. I think they've upped it to 20 this year. We get a special treat. Tiger Woods announced that he's actually going to play in the tournament this weekend. Maybe not a big factor in DFS, but maybe a fun little bet on a made cut line or something like that. But yeah, once again, with it being an elevated event, I think we see 28 of the top 30 ranked golfers that'll be here this weekend playing. It's at Riviera Golf Course. That's a pretty storied course on the difficult side. A lot of guys, course history is going to matter here. The fairways are a little bit tighter. The rough's a little bit longer than last week. So, we'll focus on guys that hit the ball well, gaining strokes off the tee, right? And ball striking on tougher courses, right? You take that accuracy, that distance, and combine it with greens and regulation. I think I was reading, compared to tour average, the driver in the fairway percentage is like 10% points lower than usual, and same with greens and regulation. And I think last year it was like 49%, so less than half the guys off the tee were in the fairway. So that kind of brings that iron play and will elevate a little bit with the strokes gained around the green, right? So your short game, because if you're in the fairway, you're not able to get up onto the green in regulation, then you want guys that are pretty good with their short game, something I am very not good at. But and then I guess the other big difference is we go to Poa-Nua for the greens. So it won't be as flat as we saw last weekend. It'll be a little bumpy. It's a little tougher to read, but I think it should be good. Like I said, it's storied. There's a lot of guys that have had good history here. Max Homa won here 2 years ago. Adam Scott's won here. So a lot of guys do well. I think Colin finished second. Finau has a couple second place finishes. So the big players should do well here.
Yeah. And it looks like just kind of the, from a betting standpoint, the average winning score here, or at least what the betting odds are, they're putting at under 15.5. So, if your guys are shooting, 3-4 under every day, I mean, they're right on pace to, be up there at the top of the leaderboard. So if, some of these tournaments, I know that you're looking for big scores, some of these really difficult tours, especially the majors, you're finishing, 3 under, 4 under for the tournament, and you're taking home the whole thing. So interesting to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, man, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and drop in. I knew we talked a little bit about our Discord as well. For them, people wanting to reach out to you, obviously your Twitter handle is on there, but you can jump in the free Discord and obviously tag Josh for anything golf related. I know you're covering EuroLeague and a lot of other things as well. So yeah, all that being said, let's kind of move on in. You covered the course overview. Talk about at the top of the salary brackets. Who are you looking at as some of your top plays at the upper high price targets?
Yeah, so as mentioned, right, with tougher courses, that's usually when your better players thrive, right? This isn't going to be a birdie fest, so I would expect these top guys to be near the top when it comes Sunday. But yeah, John Rahm comes in at the highest price on DraftKings. He's the only player over 11,000, and I think you'd have to convince me to not play him right this week. He's just elite. I mean, he's second in strokes gained off the tee. He's number one in ball striking, 13th around the green, 35th in approach. I mean, you guys get the point, right? He's probably the most complete player, him and Rory on tour. Right. And obviously it helps, he has a 5th place finish, 9th, 17th, 21st. So 4 straight years, essentially top 20 or better. And with a guy with his mindset, he wants a win here, right? This is a pretty storied course. He's going to want to win. So I like Rahm. He's the favorite, rightfully so. So that's where I'd start. If you're a little worried about paying that high price, you can work your way down. Obviously, Scheffler coming off a win, but it's really hard to win a golf tournament, and it's really hard to do it twice in a row. Scheffler was 7th here, so I'm not opposed to him, but I think you can find some better value and better fits to the course if you work your way down to guys like maybe a Justin Thomas, right? He comes in at 10,100. He's actually struggled a bit, but we saw him shoot. I think he shot a 65 on Sunday. And every day he actually played better and better last weekend. So he looked a little bit more like himself. He's got 3 top 10 finishes here in his last five tries. So he's played the course really well. And I think this may be the time to catch him while he's on his way up before he gets there. And we start to see ownership and price increase just based on what we saw over this past weekend. I think JT is a really good play here. Another guy I kind of go down to, and I really have 2 more here if you're getting out of the 10K range. I think Max Homa comes in around 9,700. I mentioned he won here 2 years ago.
Right.
He finished 10th last year, and he was 5th 3 years ago. So that's 3 straight top 10 finishes. Fun little fact. So Max has won 6 tournaments. 4 of them have been in California, and he is from California. So he plays well in California. And like I said, 3 top 10 finishes at this tournament. I think that speaks volumes. He's someone who's won. And this is another guy with a pretty complete game, right? He's top 20 in strokes gained off the tee, ball striking, approach. His game around the green is pretty solid. So, his putting is good, and he actually putts a little better on POA than any other surface. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see, another top 10, top 5 potential win from Max. He's playing well. He's got 2 wins already this season. So yeah, if you're looking to get out of that 5-digit range and want to come down there, I think Max is great. And another guy, if you guys are in the Discord and read some of the articles, I'm a big Tony Finau fan, and he lines up to play really well here. He's finished 2nd here twice in the past 5 years. So, he'd really, really like to get over that hump and get a win here. Right. But on top of that, I mean, he's an elite player. I think he probably flies under the radar amongst like the top 10 players. I don't think he's talked about enough, but 9th in stroke gains approach. So, you're talking about a top iron player, 15th off the tee, combines for 10th in ball striking. These are pretty ridiculous numbers. So if really what it comes down to with Finau is the putter, right? If the putter gets hot, then he probably can win for sure. But yeah, so Tony and Max are 2 guys there in that 9K range. If you're looking for a second piece to go in big with Rahm, or you're trying to get out of that range, I think both of those guys are good based on just course history and the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, I know you said, obviously talking about Tony's putter, but I mean, I think he's still top 25. I mean, he ranks 25th. I mean, you're right. If he can put that all together, I mean, he's playing really well right now. Mm-hmm. One thing you mentioned about Rahm earlier, and, I think people are going to look up, like, I kind of felt very much like Rory was just absolute smash play. And obviously, you're right there with Rahm, and then obviously Scheffler coming in right behind them. And then Scheffler wound up, having the best week. And I think the thing with Rahm here is that I wouldn't even look at it so much as a course history kind of thing, but I saw a really cool thing. They were talking about how well he's done at Riviera, but it's very similar to Torrey Pines, mm-hmm. which he's won at least twice, I know for sure. And I mean, so I think that you're looking at just a profile of who's going to play well here. And you're right. I think Max is going to be probably more of like I don't know. I would say GPP. I think he's going to be popular. People can tie in the Californian thing for sure. But I think Tony Finau has better odds than Max to win at 200 less. So I like that call a lot. I think that this might be the week, man, where he's going to put in a top 5 performance.
Yeah, and with the thing with Tony putting, so he's 25th now, but he actually dropped. So he actually lost strokes with his putter last week, and he finished 14th. So I bring it up. If you get back to what we know Tony can do with the putter, then that's when you start to see these top 5 finishes pile up. But yeah, I think a lot of people are probably gonna want to play like a Rahm and then get a secondary piece in that mid range. Maybe a Tony, maybe a Max, maybe even a Sungjae. Sungjae's a really solid player, really good all around game. He's a big guy. He plays these courses well, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we see people grab 2 of these big guys and then kind of try to go find value. I think it's a good strategy. You saw last week, Scheffler, Rahm, Xander Schauffele, Jason Day, Justin Thomas. I mean, these are big names at the top of the leaderboard. So if you can find a way to get more than one of them in, I think it's a good strategy again this week.
Okay, cool. Well, what else do you like up here? I'm surprised. I'm looking at Morikawa. I couldn't believe that he freaking missed the cut. So,
and he's interesting. He was second last year, but guys like Morikawa and Patrick Cantlay, they're kind of up there. I think they're a little bit too streaky for me. Obviously, you saw Colin miss the cut. The thing that scares me with Colin is his putting has been bad, and he's known to be really, really bad around the greens. So if he's not dialing in the irons, which he usually is, but if he doesn't, you could see, some of those guys where he might chip over the green, and now he's coming back up, and now you're looking at double bogeys. And I think that's what happened to him last week, and he couldn't make a putt. So
if he can hit those greens in regulation, he's not a great scrambler around the green for sure.
Yeah.
So I like that. Who else you like up here up top?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of sums it up. I mean, you get down to there's Sam Burns is kind of interesting. He's played well here. He's known to be a pretty streaky putter. But I really think after that, you probably want to drop down into the middle range. And I'm going to talk more about value, but I do want to mention a couple guys in the mid to low 8s, upper 7s. Jason Day is I think he's back. I think it's safe to say he's back now. I think he comes in at like 8,400, and he just finished 5th, and the weekend before that was 7th, right? He's got another top 10 finish. So that's 3 top 10 finishes this season, 2 in a row. And he's playing extremely well. I think the back issue that held him back for a couple of years seems to be over. I actually talked about him last week and wrote him up in the article last week, and he followed through for me, right? A sixth place finish at his price range is that's more than you could ask for, right?
Right.
Yeah. He's 15th in strokes gained approach. So his iron play is he's better with his irons than Jon Rahm this season, right? You see him ranked 8th with ball striking. So he's finding a ton of greens in regulation. He's driving the ball well, accurate, 29th in strokes gained off the tee. And he's a great putter. He's always been known to be a good putter. So I think if you find you're looking for someone in that middle range, I really like Jason Day. I don't see any reason why he can't go post another top 10.
I like it.
Yeah, and then another one too, we talk about resurgence, Ricky Fowler, right? Ricky's kind of back a little bit. So he checks in just under 8. I think he's 7,900, finished 10th this weekend, 11th the weekend before. So another guy that's essentially back-to-back top 10, 11 finishes. So another guy that we saw, a couple years back, you felt like Ricky was getting second in every major tournament and kind of fell off, but he's starting to put his game back together and very similar to Rahm, right? He's 12th in strokes gained approach, 11th ball striking. He's just his iron play. He's finding greens and trying. He's got the putter going a little bit. That's always been what's Ricky struggled with.
Right.
But he seems to have figured it out and putting it together a little bit. And he was 20th 2 years ago. He 55th, but he's made the cut 2 years in a row, and he's posted a top 20. So
right.
I don't think there's any reason to stay away from, especially coming in under 8K, right? If you're getting a guy under 8K that's going to go post you a top 10, potential top 15, I think I'd be more than happy with that, right? So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that range. I'm like looking at Keegan Bradley, a lot of these guys, but I mean there's some intriguing plays and some names on there. We have to find the right guys, right, that are right below 8K. Those are going to make our lineup work. So
yeah, and I think last in this range, I'll give a shout out to Adam Scott. So literally nobody has played Riviera better than Adam Scott in his career. He's won here. He's 4th, 38th. 7th I think he's got like 5 top 11 finishes in the last like 7 years. So it's something about Riviera just brings out the best in him. Yeah. He's playing fine this year. He's not playing bad. I think, so I think if you go just straight from course history and a guy who's just does it year in and year out here at 8K, I think Adam will probably be a popular play. Just based on the fact that this course just seems to fit him. Right. So he's pretty interesting. And I won't talk too much about him, but I do think Tom Kim is interesting play here at 8.5. This is probably the lowest I've seen his price. He hasn't played here before, and that would be my only fear. This course tends to most of our winners tend to have played here once or twice and done well here. So little caveat, but I think from a GPP perspective, he could be really interesting because he has the stuff to win. I mean, he's won twice already, so we know he can do it.
I mean, I've played at Riviera on a virtual golf at the tee box. So, I like.
You have some experience as well.
I have a little bit of experience. I did not shoot great, but it's a tough course, man. So, nice. All right. So knowing that, I mean, obviously we're trying to make these lineups work and everything. Just kind of take us home on your value, and then we can kind of just give your overall thoughts and maybe how you're going to start your builds, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, so I think in the value part, I think this is probably pretty important. Being, as I mentioned, I think you probably want to try to get 2 big names that you really think can win. So you're going to find yourself looking for 2, maybe even 3 guys down here in this low 7 range. And the first guy that jumps out at me is Nick Taylor. He just finished 2nd, and that's part of it, but not the only reason why. He comes in at 7,400, and Phoenix is a tough course. It's not as tough as Riviera, but it is a tougher course. He has a top 20 finish here. Nick Taylor does 2 years ago. He didn't play last year, but the year before he did finish top 20. And he's just playing really well right now. I think, playing in a final group with Scheffler and Rahm on Sunday, that's going to speak wonders to his confidence, right? Right. Not only playing in the group, but competing with him, right? I mean, he played better than Rahm on Sunday to get a 2nd place finish. So I think it speaks really well. He's great around the green. He's great with his short game, his irons, his putting. So I think at 7,400, he definitely should make the cut. And if someone like that can creep into the top 20, it's going to be really good value there. I do think he'll be pretty popular just after people watched last weekend and saw him finish 2nd. But I think rightfully so. I think he'll be another good play. And then another guy that I feel like I'm throwing it back talking about Ricky and Jason Day, but I want to talk about Matt Kuchar a little bit.
Throwing it back.
I know, yeah. Matt Kuchar used to be a guy we probably talked about 5 years ago, right? But no, and to that point, right, that when you talk about history, so Kuchar's got 3 years ago in 2020, he finished 2nd. He's got an 8th place finish, and he's made the cut in like 7 of 8 years in a row here. Comes in at 7,100. Actually playing pretty decent golf right now. So to pair that with course history, that obviously helps quite a bit. He finished 32nd this past weekend, and 2 starts ago, I think he was 7th. He's posted a top 10. And as Kuchar, kind of how we knew him, and it's kind of how he is now. I wouldn't call him elite in any facet of his game, but he's above average in every facet of his game, right? And so find that at this price, 7,100. That's kind of what you're looking for. We talk about tougher courses will highlight your flaws, and they will hang you out to dry. So you get a guy like Kuchar, right? He's 32nd putting, 44th around the green. He's 81st and 83rd in ball striking and strokes gained off the tee, which means he's above average. He's gaining strokes. So someone like that, they usually can kind of find their way through a course like this. Obviously, there's not like a top 10. Top 20 maybe upside for Kuchar, but I think top 30, but definitely looking for a guy that can make the cut. And I think he's playing well enough. Coming off of that made cut last week in 32nd, I think he's a good play here.
And I'm gonna go ahead and just throw. I wanted to throw someone out. Are you when you're below 7K? You tell me, because I have a GPP dart to throw. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about probably my favorite guy below 7K, and it's only 6'9", 6.9, so it's close. But Jonathan Vegas, and he's a guy I mentioned. I mentioned him last week, and I mentioned him again. And in the stat that is actually, I have to look at it 3 times. He is number 1 in strokes gained off the tee on the PGA Tour this season. John Rahm is 2. He's number 1 in strokes gained off the tee, and that, to me, it blows my mind that the guy below 7K is number 1. Now, he's a horrible putter, and I mean horrible. Like he's near the bottom. But 7th around the green, that means he's pretty awesome with those little 60-degree wedge and chipping up and onto the green. He's 32nd in stroke gained approach. It all comes out to put him 34th in ball striking. So really, you're talking about a really bad putter. But if he's going to consistently find his way onto greens and regulations, he doesn't have to be great, not at this price. And the greens are tough, so some of the good putters are going to struggle. So maybe, it all breaks even. Maybe it brings some of the better putters down to his level of putting. But I think just the upside is there, right? He made the cut last year. I think he's got a couple finishes in the 20s in the last couple of weeks. I think it's crazy for a guy that hits the ball that well off the tee. If he can find himself in fairways, he's going to be just fine at that price.
Yeah, I do like Vegas a lot. I mean, you're right. He's a terrible putter, but that's just a curse that a lot of us do carry if we're not playing on the tour. I would say my favorite guy right below him at 6,700 is Sam Ryder. I know he's a dart throw out there, but he actually has the same odds, albeit long shot at plus 15,000, but as Vegas does. But one thing I do like about Ryder is that if you just look at just his recent, last month or so. I mean, he was tied for 20 at Phoenix. I think he was at Farmers. He was like tied for 4th.
Farmers. He was leading on Sunday. So
right, yeah.
Final group.
He's played well here before, Riviere. I was kind of looking up some course history there. Tied for 26, I think was his best showing. But he's top 15 in strokes gained around the green and putting. And I think we when we're talking about a player that can do well here, it's someone like that, right? If you can get down there and your scramble game is good and you're not a terrible putter, then I think that you can absolutely do well. So, like I said, man, that's awesome. Obviously, outside of that value, and you talked about a little bit below 7K, is there any lasting thoughts or any guys that we need to kind of, take a look at here before we get out?
So one other guy at 6'9", and it's not going to be someone that people are going to recognize a whole lot from the tour because he's really been playing over on the World Tour, the European Tour, is Adrian Meronk. He's 6.9. But he finished 4th in his past tournament on the World Tour. He has a win. He has another top 10. So he's a guy that comes over. I pulled some of his stats up from the World Tour, right? So that's not comparable necessarily to the other players on PGA, but he's 7th in strokes gains off the tee on the World Tour, 34th in approach. He's a good iron player. I think he's an interesting play. Like I mentioned, 3 top 10s in his last 4 tournaments on the World Tour. So he obviously is playing with confidence in his own game. So at 6'9", I think that's another guy that you can kind of look at as a potential good play. And another guy who's been playing on the World Tour is Sepp Straka. He hadn't necessarily been playing well, but we've seen Straka. He's a real streaky player, and that's another low guy that could easily go out and get you, a top 10, top 20 finish. But the other likelihood is a miscut, right? That's kind of what it feels like with Sepp. So you're rolling the dice there, but.
Yeah. I mean, I think 5 out of 6, about 5 out of 6 is what we probably need to feel safe cashing. We'll take 6 out of 6 for sure. That's going to be a great live GPP line and everything like that. But yeah, man, like I said, lots to look forward to. You'll have an article out at yourfieldofchoice.com that's going to be covering a little bit more in depth on some of these notes that you've already dropped in there. You're going to have some presence on Discord as well. Obviously, if you guys want to reach out to Josh, we did drop in that comment section the link to Discord. You can just tag him at YFC JSal10 in the free Discord that we do have. Josh, any lasting thoughts, man, before we head out?
No, I don't think so. It should be a fun tournament. I think, when you're looking at your build, I kind of spoke to it. I'm probably going to start at the top. I'm probably going to play Rahm, and then I'm going to pair him with a Finau, a Homa, and then go from there, right? You're going to end up having to find a couple of these value guys we talked about. But like we said, if you can grab those 2 guys at the top that are competing on Sunday, then you just get those other guys filling in, making the cut. I think it's a good strategy.
Yeah. And my builds are going to be Sam Ryder, and then I'm going to be like, what's next? I'm just kidding.
Yep.
But all right, man. Well, hey, Josh, I appreciate you. We're right about 25 minutes, guys. Thank y'all for joining us. Be sure to check out, there's different sections. Obviously, we talked about the course attorney overview. You can skip forward to the high price targets, and then of course more value targets as well. This has been great, Josh. I appreciate you. We need to do more of these. I know we need to schedule these out for some more sports. Now we got Champions League soccer pumping up. Obviously it's on right now, so that's where a little bit of my attention has been. But Josh was so kind to schedule our golf show in the middle of Champions League today, so we do appreciate it as always. But guys, on a serious note, thank y'all very much. YourFieldersChoice.com. Be sure to check us out. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that bell for notifications. Be sure to subscribe. And guys, like I said, right now, baseball season is right around the corner. We just wrapped up a great football season. My Eagles were a little bit short, but we're excited about this upcoming. And we have NBA going hot right now. Check the winning lineups room. I can vouch for it, guys. I'm on fire, so let's keep going. This is from your team here at Your Fielder's Choice YFC. Josh, I appreciate you, brother.
Yep. Thanks.
Have a good day, guys. Thanks.